What would you say 17 years ago about music, about life? Is there anything you'd like to tell that version of you?
Write it down, because there's so much stuff that I wish I could have written all these years. But then just trust yourself. And I spent so much time, both musically, but also just as a person, trying to figure out who I was, what I liked doing, what I didn't like doing. And I think everyone goes through that at some point.
Currently in it.
What's that?
Currently in it.
Which, yeah, I think you have to go through it before you realize it yourself. In the end, your best ally is yourself. And so if you be true to yourself and do what you want to do what you love to do respectfully, the people that are supposed to be there then along that journey with you will arrive, however long it takes. Playing my first gig and like 65 people showed up and it was awesome. I'm sitting there going like, music is amazing. Like I just said, come to my show and like 1 million people showed up.
Yeah.
And that was a fun night. Like playing, everyone's clapping, everyone's singing along, everyone's cheering, everyone's excited. And then 3 months later, I'm like, well, I'm back at the New Moon. Everyone come out, and it was just crickets. Like no one. I was like, wow, okay, what happened to the 3 months ago? I thought we did like a thing. I think is that once you get over the initial wave and you settle on your 1, 2, 6, 12, 18 real fans that want to listen, that's your base. And now you build. And now you build and build and build. And
I hit record just in case we had this amazing spontaneous conversation.
Yep.
So we are rolling. This podcast is sort of evolving. It basically started as a personal development. You want to grow as a person. How can you do that? And it's almost morphed into this new thing. I'm not even quite sure what it is.
Yep.
But I have to thank you for that inspiration. So for everyone not watching on camera, we've got Jacob Fannin. Fannin,
Yep.
Local musician here to the Fox Valley area, going to be at Mila Music. If you've been following the show for a little bit, you know that we are in this new segment called Help Me Understand. And this is the man, the myth, the legend that actually started it. I was at the first 50 announcement, and you were the surprise 51st guest.
Class 51.
51, and you got to do a solo act right there at the venue. And you played a song. Walt Disney did this to me. So before we kind of get into the background of that, it got me chills. Like I was thinking about my childhood, my upbringing, and it really sent me down this rabbit hole of, holy crap, music can make you feel so many things, and I don't understand it at all. And it made me feel excited, but also nervous, and I had all of these weird mixed emotions. So I came in and I recorded this episode and was like, hey, I've got to go down this deep dive. I had a solo episode, I had another artist on as well, and I thought, well, okay, now that I've got 2 episodes in the bank, I could probably reach out to you and say, hey, look, you inspired me to do this.
That's
awesome. Let's start there. So maybe give a 30-second spiel of who you are, what you do.
Yeah, I was born and raised here in the Valley, Hortonville. Raised in a big family, musical. My mom, musician. My dad was in a band growing up. He did some traveling stuff, so both of them are musically inclined. All of us kids, for the most part, kind of got the bug. In college, really started dabbling with songwriting, started listening to different artists and guitarists, trying to figure out if I wanted to do it, if I could do it, all those things. I found myself a little niche that I loved. I've been writing and playing ever since. Ebbs and flows as far as how serious I was. I moved to Nashville at one point. I moved to Los Angeles at one point, tried to make it the music scene there. Came back home, worked a little bit, tried to make some money. But now, obviously, I'm back to doing what I want to do, which is play music, write songs, tell stories, and be happy. So the music thing's always been the happy element for me. Just figuring out how I can do it full time and make that my living. And so that's where we're at now. Super happy with where I'm at. But yeah, man, the Mile 50 thing was a cool little thing to be a part of, and then to get your message afterwards was fun. And kind of like you said, it's not the reason why you do anything really, but it's fun when a little something like that happens, or someone reaches out and says, that was cool. Like appreciate the song or what you did, whatever it is. It makes things fun. So,
well, I'm super excited for you because, again, something that I'm not very familiar with. Not only in creation of music, which is a whole other animal I'd love to get into and talk to, but a little bit more about your background. So that was one of my questions. Actually, was music in your family? Walk us through a day in the life growing up with music just in the home.
Yeah, so Dad definitely was in a traveling band, a rock band, out of high school back in the late 70s. And that's what he did for years. And then he met my mom, they got married, he quit the band so they could have a family. But my mom, growing up, is a very talented singer, pianist. She's been playing piano since she was like 4. and so good at it. That's how I remember growing up, was someone was on the piano, there's music, something playing, and then we sang. I mean, we sang as a individually, we sang together, we sang in church. So it was something that was always comfortable for us, because I think from the age of 3, 4, 5, 6, it was something that we all just did. Singing has always come as something that was fun, never nerve-wracking, and thankfully I have a little bit of an ability, or have a little bit of ability.
You do. You're very talented.
Well, and just so I don't embarrass myself when I go out there, if I write something, I feel okay going out to sing it as well. So
I kind of want to get into the backstory a little bit on the song that kind of inspired this whole journey.
Yeah.
So just talk a little bit, again, title, the lyrics, and how that song came to be. Because I've got my own Disney version. It's not even close to yours, but I just want to show how some family elements and upbringing kind of morph us into who we become. So
yeah, man. So the song's called Walt Disney Did This to Me. I grew up, my dad worked full time, my mom stayed home with us kids, and there was we'll say a baker's dozen maybe or so. Oftentimes we joke that my mom would babysit half of us, and then the other half she'd go put a movie on, and that's how she kind of wrangled us. And it was always Disney movies for us kids, and so I've seen all the old school Disney movies a million times each. I guess in college and afterwards, when I was writing songs, I was thinking about myself a little bit and how I differed from some of my friends. I've always been like a reserved, empathetic person. Like my friends would watch skateboarding videos or dirt bike crashes, and they'd be like, "Oh, that was so awesome! You see the guy flip," and I'd be sitting there going, "Hey, man, he's hurt. Like, oh, whatever." And so I was wondering, like, why is my brain wired a little bit differently? And jokingly, but not jokingly, I was thinking it back to how I was raised, and being amongst family was one thing, but then I was raised on these Disney classic movies of all the love stories and all those sorts of things. And so I did it tongue in cheek, but there's an element of truth to it. Walt Disney Did This to Me, meaning he made me believe in canoe rides through a lagoon, as a way to take a girl on a first date. That whole
yes.
the romanticized version of life in a lot of ways. And so the song Walt Disney Did This to Me is just, it's a bunch of little clips and anecdotes from different Disney movies that maybe have set myself up to think in a certain way that maybe is a little bit different and a little bit softer than some others, some of my peers maybe.
With your permission, I might put a little clip in it so listeners can get just a little taste of it.
Hey, you can plug it. That's cool with me.
All right, absolutely.
Do you remember Peter Pan, the pixie man? He flew his way to Neverland, all just on a notion that he never would grow up. This girl who is starring, she's Wendy, she's darling. Salt to his pepper, leave his sight, he'd never let her in. And some might say they were as different as could be, but when together Peter truly felt like he could fly, 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 fly.
I've got this, if you would allow me to go on a small
Please.
tangent,
Yeah.
and we can clip it if it's not your taste.
No, you're good.
But my experience with Disney movies growing up, we would go to Grandma and Grandpa's house, all the cousins would be there, and that was one thing, is they would put in movies for us in the living room. Well, one time, Grandma was in the kitchen, Grandpa's out in the garage, we're all sitting around, we're like, hey, we gotta go find a movie. So I go rummaging around inside the sunroom, and I find a suitcase, and I open it up, and it looks like a bunch of VHS tapes. So I'm like, great, found all the Disney movies. Lug the suitcase into the living room, pull it out, and I can tell all the older kids are like, they're giggling, they're smirking, they're laughing, and they're all like just covering their face, and I'm like, what? And I go in, I pull one out, and I go put it in the VCR. I will tell you, they were not Disney movies. They were not Disney movies. They were adult film movies. Okay. And Grandma comes in about 2 minutes later, and there's all the cousins just eyes glued on the TV, and she runs over quick and she pulls it out. And just, it was this hilarious moment. And I didn't find this out till years later. My grandpa would sell them on the streets of Chicago a long time ago.
Yeah, okay.
So now I'm in 5th grade, and I ended up finding a stack of National Geographic magazines in the garage. Nothing wrong with them, just the National Geographics, and they had a bunch of tribal people in them. Well, tribal people don't wear clothes, so there's just a bunch of women without clothes on. And I thought, well, 5th grade boy, you know who else would probably like this? Other 5th grade boys. So I would bring them to school, and I'd sell them out on the playground.
You're hustling them.
I was hustling them. So it turns out it was a family trait. That was why I was going to ask, it was music in the family, because apparently this was a family trait. And I'll never forget when my dad found my hiding stash. I had a Scooby-Doo slipper that I put all the money in, and he comes out one day, and we're sitting in the living room, and he dumps it out, and it's probably $45 in change. And he's like, where did you get this? And I told him, and he is dying laughing. He's like, I don't know whether to ground you or give you a high five. So we're just gonna say, let's stop this before it goes.
That's a good story.
Goes any further. So yeah, that's my Disney experience.
Walt Disney did that to you.
Walt Disney did that to me. I don't think he was the producer on those films, though.
That's funny.
But anyway, so I've got a couple other questions for you. How has music shaped you? Just personality, life-wise? Because, I mean, it's been a part of your life for so long. And I love that you introed or opened with, I was in it, I left it for a little bit, came back, left, came back. And it is just this constant beacon that's pulling you to it.
Music's always been the end goal for me. It's just how to get there has been the question my entire adult life. So graduated college, moved to Nashville to pursue it, didn't work out, came home, moved to Los Angeles to pursue it, didn't work out, came home. And so the entire goal of my life has been to travel and play music and see the world and play music and play for people and learn and write about what I've seen, all these things. But to do that, you need a little bit of money. And so the first goal then is to make money playing music so you can fund the music and the travel and and all those things. And that just wasn't working out through my 20s. I was making enough to survive. I wasn't making enough to pursue the travel and the world view of it. So I had to alter plans a little bit. But like you mentioned, that beacon has always been there. It's always, I identify as a musician. So people ask what I do with my life. Even when I was working at some corporate thing, I'm a musician. And then I do this to make a little bit of money on the side, even though that was my full-time thing and this was my side thing. And so I kind of had to sit down when I was about 30, like 10 years ago or so, and kind of figure out how I was going to make it happen. Then it became, I need to hustle for 5, 6, 8 years, and build myself a little bit of a life that is stable so that I can transition back into the music thing and do that. And this is going to pay for it. And I can do this, and it doesn't matter if I make money because I'm just going to do it then for the lifestyle of traveling, playing, exploring, etc. So it's been the only thing for me, really. And I've had some little side quests on the side to pay bills and make things work. But now I'm a musician, man. I like writing. I like singing. I like writing stories, telling stories, and that's what I'll do until I can't do it anymore. You know.
Well, it definitely comes across. If you got to follow Jacob on social media. You've got this cool write a song a day for how many days are you trying to do that?
So yeah, so I'm gonna go until I burn out. But I just started that May 1, so we're approaching 30, and it's a great and frustrating thing to do. But yeah, write a song a day. So sometimes I have 2 hours and I can sit and write a full something. Some days I sit down and it's 10:30 at night, and I'm just, the day got me, and I got 20 minutes and I knock out a verse, and I wink at the camera. I mean, like, some days you have a lot in you, some days you don't. But the point is basically just you have to hammer your craft. And I've kind of slacked on that. Once gig season starts, we're all out there on the road playing these gigs all the time, which for us in the Valley is Memorial Day to Labor Day, basically. So the song a day thing for me is just, it's forcing me to work. I have to, and I enjoy it. I love writing, even when I'm frustrated and even when it's not clicking. We're almost 30 songs in, but yeah, I committed mentally to 90 days, and then as long as it's going well and I'm enjoying it, then we'll push the goalpost further beyond that.
Just to do anything for 30 is already more than what most people can do. But it reminds me of what Seinfeld does. He writes a joke. I don't know if it's a joke a day or he sits down an hour a day, but he is very committed to that craft, and that's why he was one of the top comics for however many years. And he sits down, and it doesn't matter if it's a bad joke, it's a good joke. It is getting the reps in. He is doing his craft. This is what he was meant to do, and makes time for it.
And it's also like it's such a good way to not swallow your pride, but there are some days where, like I said, time just gets you and you only have a half hour, you only have 15 minutes. And so I'm posting every day, regardless of what the product is, it's going out. And I've had friends or siblings or somebody reach out some days and be like, didn't love that one. And I'm like, I didn't love that one either, but like, there's nothing I can do. I posted it because I was going to bed, and that's what you got that day, And so sometimes you miss, a lot of times you miss, as far as if it's joke telling or if it's painting or if it's writing songs or whatever the craft is. But just You got to get rid of the bad ones so you can get some good ones out, you know?
I think another example, and maybe I'm gonna mix it up, but I thought it was Ed Sheeran on an interview, and he was talking about creativity. He said it's just like when you turn on a faucet that hasn't been turned on for a really long time. When you turn it on, what color is that water?
Not great.
It's brown, it's green, it's whatever was stuck in the pipes. And sometimes you have to let that run for a couple seconds, a minute, but eventually it becomes clear. And he said that's similar to creativity. It doesn't matter. You just have to continuously get some of those out to get to the nuggets, to get to the gold. I thought that was a good visual of like pushing through, because I mean, if you try to do anything, you are eventually going to fail. Or there's going to be something that doesn't hit, and it's more important to see how you make it through those than how you handle success.
Yeah, it's an old sales nugget that they give you that, you know, if it takes you 19 no's to get the one yes, then you get the one yes out of every 20, then you should be excited to get the no's, because you're getting rid of the no's to get to the yes sort of thing. So the best salesmen are excited when they hear a no, because that means they're closer to the yes. And it's kind of the same thing that applies. Songwriting specifically, if you start working on something and you have a little bit of an idea and you have a chord structure, you have some words, whatever it may be, and there's going to be a wall that pops up at some point, and it's sometimes hard to do, but it's sometimes the best thing to do is like, great, got that one out, scratch it, start over, do something else, because not everything is great. I mean, that's the part of the process is figuring out what doesn't work so you can figure out what does work.
Have you ever had to work your way through anything like that on stage?
And that's, you learn to love it a little bit. It's the pride thing or the swallowing the pride thing, because live performance is messy, and you know, you practice so you're good and good enough and hopefully great that people love you. But if I have a 3-hour gig, not all the notes are going to be great, and not both guitar, vocally, all those things. So when you do something that's not great, it's kind of my favorite human parts of the show, because you can look around and see who caught it and like give them a wink that you know, I know what I did there, like I know you know what I did there, and just a fun part of the show that happened. Because as long as the rest of it is still good, then it's great. And if you mess up once in a while or mistakes happen, you actually learn to like that part of the gig, I think.
No, I would agree. Sometimes nothing's ever as good or as bad as it feels in the moment. So sometimes I enjoy looking for failure in the sense of, okay, it's like ripping the Band-Aid off. You do it enough times to where doesn't affect you as much.
And I guess in my head, I've always called it a baseline, but I love establishing a baseline of, well, that's what failure felt like. That was fine. They laughed at me, or they didn't like it, or they gave me a weird look. That was cool. I'm sorry. I didn't do it on purpose. If that's as bad as it's gonna be, we're good from here. Like, so I love establishing, in this case, if it's messing up on stage in front of people, if you're trying to be embarrassed, there's different levels. Like if you mess up the words on national TV or something for the national anthem, like I'm sure that feels much different than being in front of, you know, 25 people at a coffee shop. But if you're nervous about messing up in front of people, just go do it, and like go mess up in front of people, and you'll know what it feels like. And if that's as bad as it's gonna be, great, and then we're good.
There's an interesting stat. 75% of, I believe it's the world population, their number one fear is public speaking, or just standing up in front of an audience, and it's only followed by death. So the two of us like to do the number one fear by, 75% of the world. But that's the thing. Once you realize that it's not as bad as you think, it opens up so many doors, and it makes life just so much more enjoyable.
It's a humbling thing, man. Like I think also the thing is, when you do it, you realize how much people actually don't care. And so once you see that, when you mess up and you look around and no one noticed, everyone's giving you a thumbs up like you're fine. Once you realize that for the most part everyone's on your side, there's nothing to worry about really in that regard. So I'm glad we're doing the second most feared.
No, it's the first.
Oh, the first.
The first, yeah. Death is second.
Oh, death is second.
Yeah, it's crazy. That's good. More people would rather die. Okay, they wouldn't. In reality, they wouldn't. I'm sure if it came down to it, they would choose to speak in public. But in their minds, they fear that more than death. But no, it's funny just talking about putting yourself out there. We had talked before we started recording. I'd asked you if you remembered your first YouTube video.
Yeah.
And I love people that have a passion. And again, because I don't understand this concept about community and music and how you can be driven to do something for so long. And you had posted, and I believe it was your first one, 17 years ago. All right. You said you were on your parents' couch. I'm gonna actually put like a side by side up here because I realized when I looked at it today, I'm wearing almost the exact outfit you were in that video.
Oh, really?
It is a white striped shirt. This is a different with a white undershirt. And I love the fact that you got the hat on, but it's sideways. It's that 45-degree sideways that early 2000s looks.
After you mentioned it, I can picture it in my head, and it is. I don't know if it's just a thing where I like.
No, that was like a thing. That
I
was
just threw my hat on, and I hope maybe it was a fashion choice. I don't know, but I think I know exactly what you're talking about, and a little embarrassing, but
no, not at all. It again got me inspired to go and realize that, hey, all of these podcasts that I upload, they're just going to podcast players. I'm not doing anything on YouTube. Why am I wasting all these videos? I could have this embarrassing archive out there for forever. Not that was embarrassing, but there's just something so cool about to see somebody when they are, I don't want to say peak, but when they're in their prime, and to go back and to see what they were doing before. I keep going down this rabbit hole of comedians because I really like stand-up comedy. I love the art, and I was looking at Theo Vaughn. He's got a top-rated podcast. He's got a couple of specials, and just looking at his YouTube, and like the guy's been doing this for decades. Like he has been working at his craft forever. And I see some of these old grainy YouTube videos, and I'm like, crap. I'm like, oh, this is going to take a long time. But it's that saying that you can't compare your beginning to somebody else's middle or end. And that is what I really enjoyed about going back and looking at you 17 years ago and the you now.
yeah.
And so I guess we'll try to put a bow on this. And what would you say if you could talk to you 17 years ago about music, about life? Is there anything that you would like to tell that version of you?
Write it down, because there's so much stuff that I wish I could have written all these years. But then just trust yourself. And I spent so much time, both musically, but also just as a person, trying to figure out who I was, what I liked doing, what I didn't like doing, who I wanted to hang around with, all those things. And I think everyone goes through that at some point.
Currently in it.
What's that?
Currently in it.
Which, yeah, I think you have to go through it before you realize it yourself. In the end, your best ally is yourself, and then just trust that you're doing what you know is right or what you believe is right for yourself, and things will work out. Things are gonna work out, and enjoy the process. As far as like Jake from all those years ago, yeah, man, do your thing. Write it all down. Sing to everybody. It doesn't matter. If people don't like you, they're not gonna come. If they like you, they'll come. Like, just play your music, man.
I appreciate that, and I think you would too.
Yeah.
And I got to tell you, the world is very interesting with some synchronicities today. This is the second time that somebody told me to make sure that when you create, the value is in the creation, not for the viewers. So they always say, hey, make sure that you're making something that people want to see or that you think people will be interested in. I said, no. Make the value in the creation itself so that no matter what, if it goes nowhere, there is still value in making it. And you had just mentioned that, so there seems to be this reoccurring theme in my life, and I'm gonna continue to follow those little synchronicities.
It's something that I chase all the time, as far as creating things. Like, you create an aura, and if you really enjoy what you do, whether it's baking, whether it's music, whether it's art, if you love it so much that every time you do it, it's just a joy, and that's what you're pursuing, you create this aura around you, and people are attracted to that as well. The people that are supposed to watch you are going to come find you, and then you're going to create this community of people that are attracted to the aura and the community that comes from that. And that's, in my opinion, just such a better place to be than chasing some hardware, a trophy, or some money, whatever it may be. But if you create a journey that you love, whatever the outcome is going to be great, because you're going to enjoy doing it the entire time. That just makes, to me, that makes so much more sense than the alternative of chasing a dollar sign, a number, a view count, whatever that may be.
I think that's a great way to end it, and I can tell that just the little bit of content that I've been able to consume over the last month or so of going down the Jacob Fannin rabbit hole.
Yeah.
I can tell that is you. You do practice what you preach, and you can see that and hear that in your music. So I want to give you a quick plug. Best place to follow you then?
Best place to follow me would be Facebook, Jacob Fannin Music.
We'll make sure to add that all into the show notes. I will make sure to definitely make it to a show. So you'll see me in the crowd giving you one of those thumbs up. I won't be able to tell if you make a mistake at all.
I'll, now that we said that, though, the first time I do, I'm probably going to just turn and look straight at you. Yeah.
And then just give me the wink,
I'll give you the nod.
All right.
I just did it, yeah.
Okay.
That's funny.
Well, I really appreciate you coming and doing this.
Yeah,
It's
this
one
is
of
cool,
those
man.
things where you ask a random stranger on the internet if they'll come have a conversation with you. So I do appreciate you being a
Hey,
good
thanks,
sport.
thanks for the request, and anytime, man. Come back anytime.
All right. All right. Well, I appreciate it. And with that, we will continue this rabbit hole of, it's called Help Me Understand Music, and we will see you all next week. All right. Peace out.
See you.